Going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Culture 316. I am one of your hosts and producers, Jordan Nahisi.
Joined by your co-host, who's working at their job right now, Corporate Mo. Everyone's looking at me like I'm crazy, y'all. I just had two people went by while I gave my introduction. But
It's
yes, it's
corporate.
go ahead, go
It's
ahead.
corporate Mo and it's unemployed Jordan. So this is going to be a great show.
That is crazy.
I have so much energy. I don't know why, but
Yeah,
first of all, I
kind
want
of
to
easy to
thank.
have energy when you're unemployed, sir.
Listen. This is what happens when you have no job. All right. So, but I do want to thank everybody for tuning in to this episode of Culture 316. If you are on YouTube, Facebook, um, definitely like, comment, subscribe. If you are streaming wherever podcasts can be streamed, be sure to give us a 5 stars. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, showing your continued support of the pod. We do have a couple things to kick off the show. Number one, we do want to say rest in peace to Billy Graham. He passed away earlier on May 18th. He was a legend in this business, one of the OG WWE champions, and just an all around. He was the blueprint for a lot of superstars. I don't know what that was. He was the blueprint for a lot of superstars, extremely influential. So we definitely want to send our love and condolences to him and his family. We also have to give a shout out to our one of our founders, Angelo Carter, who had won his first professional wrestling championship this past weekend. He's a tag team champion. I'm trying to find the name of the promotion. I couldn't think of it off the top of my head, but he is a champion nonetheless. And we just want to give our love to our executive producer and one of the original co-hosts of this show. But without further ado, we are going to get right into this show because we have some exciting news pertaining to AEW. So it is official. It was announced at the WBD upfront on Wednesday morning that AEW will launch a second night of professional wrestling on TNT entitled AEW Collision. The program will launch on June 17th and will feature the likes of Miro, Thunder Rosa, FTR, Samoa Joe, and others. This will also be a 2-hour program. So, unlike Rampage, it will be a 2-hour program. They have also announced that the new reality show, AEW All Access, will be added to the Max library. Max is the official streaming service of Warner Brothers Discovery. So I wanted to know, how do you feel about this, the addition of this new program? And how do you feel about, the beginning of us seeing kind of AEW integrate into the streaming library of Warner?
Well, first, as far as like the two show thing goes on, I think that's pretty dope because I mean, I enjoy the show. I do think the show, however, has like some high days, some low days, or whatnot. And I'm not sure if it's because the way they stream like their storylines and whatnot. Because I don't know why, but I felt like when I was watching the show last night. And again, like we're talking about this on a Thursday. When I was watching the show last night, I kind of felt like it was oddly placed. Like things was kind of slightly out of order. There was, like, I believe the match that happened with Jay White last night should have just went on last, and they should just close off the show that way. And I'm just wondering, like, all right, like maybe this is why, like a second, like a second show might be needed to divide that up nicely. And we don't know what's going to be the A show or the B show. I'm assuming right now A is going to be Wednesday night, and then B is going to be Saturday night. But I'm curious to know how they're going to work it. I wonder if they're going to copy the blueprint of WWE and treat it like Raw and SmackDown. I wonder if they're going to split like which titles go this way and that way. I'm still curious to know how they're going to work out again, like when WWE has a pay per view going on. Because they've been doing a lot of things on Saturdays. Right, it's still Saturday for
Yes.
them, right? Sunday for
Yeah.
AEW. I'm curious to know how they're going to just work all this out. So yeah, it's weird because like I want to like have a firm answer, but right now it's a lot of like anticipation, and I'm
Mm.
mainly also curious to see who's going to be like their faces for the brands. Do you have any guesses who might be the faces for each brand?
I'm guessing that I don't know who's going to be the face of Dynamite, but I assume that CM Punk is going to be the face of Collision if there is a CM Punk return, which we'll get into next. But I
Hmm.
think it will be Punk. I think Punk will be the face of Collision, if there are to be faces of brands. But let me say this: I think this is great. This is a great time and a great moment for pro wrestling, a great moment for all elite wrestling in particular. This mind you, they are now coming up on 4 years of being a professional wrestling promotion, and they have grown exponentially. So the fact that they now have 3 shows, and then they also, obviously the owner of AEW is also the owner of Ring of Honor, and to see the kind of growth that he has made as a booker, as an owner of 2 professional wrestling organizations is phenomenal. We definitely have to give our tip our cap to Tony Khan, just to be able to cover the amount of ground that he's covered in 4 years, to navigate the conflicts that he's been able to navigate is just an extreme accomplishment. And I think that, he deserves a lot of praise and a lot of credit for this. Now, an interesting little tidbit that I forgot to add was that, according to a couple of sources, there has been a number that has been associated with the new TV deal between Warner Brothers Discovery and AEW, and it says that it rounds out to about $240 million per year, which actually totals out
God
to, I think,
damn.
$1.2 billion deal. That's insane. So to go from, trying to find a media partner this time 4 years ago to having a $1.2 billion deal with one of the biggest conglomerates in media ever, I think is just an astounding accomplishment. And it also puts AEW in a position where they are a profitable company. So I think that's just amazing. I love that for them. I think it's super duper dope. Um, the move that I definitely find the most interesting is the AEW All Access being available for streaming on Max. Also, Roads to the Top is also available, which is the reality show that Cody Rhodes was in. That's available on Max as well. I
Really?
know. Yeah, that's available on Max.
That
You want
is
to see Cody?
hilarious.
I
Is that
know,
on
Mad Random.
purpose?
Yeah, I mean, technically it's an AEW program.
It is,
So,
but I'm not saying he's on their shit list necessarily, but it's just that's kind of ironic. Especially if
yeah,
he
I mean,
go ahead.
they never really had. I mean, like, there's a reason why Cody never really talked down on AEW, and the AEW has never really talked down on Cody. I mean, a business disagreement is a business disagreement, but I don't expect there to be any beef. And if AEW is making money off of it, if Warner Brothers is making money off of it, it's just like, why not? You know what I mean?
All right. I mean, I'm just surprised. That'd be really ironic if he was like carrying the belt, you know what I mean? And you're just
Yeah,
broadcasting his own show with him and his wife. I mean,
right.
WWE would never, so maybe that's why I'm a little bit mind blown.
Yeah. I don't think that the show is still happening either, though.
No, I
I
know
think it's,
that, but I'm just saying just
yeah.
the idea of even bothering to put that on because I don't even think it did numbers.
Yeah. I don't know the numbers behind Rose to the Top, but I
Nobody
heard
was
a couple
talking
people have
about it.
enjoyed
I
it.
promise you, no. Like maybe after episode 3, no one was talking about it. And the only reason why I was talking about it is that Cody kept doing this weird thing with his nose. Like I'm like, all right, like you do coke, I get it, I get it. You was sharing with Tony. You know what I mean? You gotta make it so honest and so obvious in the confessionals. Damn, they
Not the
gotta cut that out.
confessionals. Not the confessionals.
Kept
Nah,
wiping
but
his
I mean,
nose. Like, bruh,
that's OD. That's OD. I didn't even see that. That's
you
so.
have to see it. It's not funny.
But I mean, like, it goes to show you that, like, AEW is just kind of in a really good position right now with their programming, and we'll see what comes of this and what happens. But Collision, it also, I think I mentioned it. It debuts on June 17th. So I'm expecting more announcements coming soon pertaining to the program as far as who's going to be on it, who's going to be starring. But we'll see what happens. But we want to know how y'all feel about this, about AEW getting this $1.2 billion deal, getting Collision. It's really, really exciting, and I'm really, really excited for it. But we want to know your thoughts on it. But we're gonna move on. So if we're talking about AEW in the second programming, we have to talk about the imminent return of one CM Punk. Obviously, there were a lot of reports circulating this week pertaining to, is he back with AEW? Is he not back with AEW? Why is he? Why is he not with AEW? Is it because of Ace Steel? With the second program on the horizon of Collision, do you still think that it's worth having CM Punk a part of AEW, part of these new shows? I just want to know your take on it,
He
just
pisses
to
me
know if
off.
anything has changed.
Oh well, no, he pisses me off still. But from a business standpoint, you want that guy. And if didn't NBC or one of these company specifically requests Punk. Like, I feel like he knows that he's still locked in with AEW.
Mm.
I feel like he knows that his job is secure. Because why does he feel so comfortable flocking over to different companies? Like, didn't he just visit WWE and was backstage a couple weeks ago?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he knows that wherever he goes, or whatever he does per se, he secured his position with Tony because regardless, he is the star power there. Amongst all this controversy, we know how controversy and wrestling go hand in hand. It's been a little bit quiet in AEW, but everyone perked up real quick off of that Ace Steel report with Brian and then the slew of stories we got off of CM Punk. And he even said it himself that you guys can't keep his name out of your mouths. I hate to agree with the guy because he pisses me off in every sense of the word, but he's not lying. He makes money. And if he came back, regardless how you presented him, he would create noise, whether it's for good or bad. He is publicity, and publicity makes money. So, yeah, I think that they should. I think they should bring him back. I feel like he will come back. He's going to be the peak of the summer for that company because for me watching, because I on and off watch AEW now because sometimes they knock it out the park, other times it's boring as shit, or there's just like here and there points I'll actually look away from my phone to pay attention to what's going on because the show kind of falls flat. It is kind of missing his presence. I doubt he's going to get his shit together because he has an ego, a very inflated ego. But at the same time, I also can't blame him for having an inflated ego because literally everyone uses his name to get some clicks. And it works every time. I don't know. What do you think?
So I am in favor of a CM Punk return for the same reason that you are in favor for a CM Punk return. He is publicity, he is money, he is ratings, he is clicks. Even through Brawl Out, even through everything, he is that guy, and he is that guy. And it's his importance and impact is measured by just the impact that he has and how many people talk about him, keep his name in the conversation. He was backstage at WWE. However, he was also backstage at Impact as well. One time when they were visiting, when they did a set of shows in Chicago. Um, I don't know if it was for the same reason that he was backstage in WWE for, but it could have just been one of those. I'm just here to be here. You know what I'm saying? Like type of situations because I don't know if he has any business and Impact. I don't think he signed the Impact, but you know. But I do think that that AEW programming is missing CM Punk's star power and presence. Um, and also I feel like he would be in a really good spot if he were to return because if you look at what they're doing now, they're putting the younger guys in that world title picture, and they're putting kind of like the other established names kind of in other feuds that wouldn't really interfere with the world title picture. So it wouldn't be like he's the main event. You know what I mean? He would be an important part of the show, but he wouldn't be hogging up screen time and taking it from other people, which I think we can see now because that's what's happening with, the Elite and Blackpool Combat Club. Everybody's still getting their shine. Everybody's still getting their just due.
Do you
But
think though that like they should use some realism and take it back to the obvious? Because I feel like when he does come back, he's going to call out what he did. And he's
absolutely,
probably going to come back in a heel way because it only makes sense to come back in a heel fashion. There's no way you can spin that off and be a babyface. Do you think
absolutely.
they're going to try to create a feud with the Elite? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, weren't the Elite opposed to that idea? I feel like Tony, being a businessman, would want to force that anyways.
Mm.
What do you think?
I think it would happen. I think it's the best business move because from May until, I mean, once Double or Nothing is done,
Mm-hmm.
we're building up for All In London
Yeah.
and Elite versus FTR and CM Punk. I've said this. I've said this on this podcast
You have.
before.
Yes. I
Um,
was there.
but I CM Punk and FTR versus the Elite is the match. It's the match. It's the money match. It's going to be the draw. Um, sorry, I just got super distracted.
Don't we all?
Jesus, it's the text on the screen. Anyway, yeah, like I feel like it's the money match. I think it's the draw. I think it is quote unquote best for business. And I think that it should happen. I do think that it should play. They should play into the realism of it because everybody's looking for the elephant in the room to be addressed. All out, the brawl it, all out, the media scrum is the elephant in the room. And until it is addressed head on, it will always be the elephant in the room. So if it's going to be the elephant in the room, turn it into your cash cow. Make some money off of it. Make a story off of it. Make it memorable for the fans because I'm pretty sure that there are other fans who want to see this confronted on screen and talked about on screen. Like,
Oh
let's get it
yeah.
out in the open. If you don't, then what's different from you in WWE when they're trying to hide a conflict? You know what I'm saying? If you want to do wrestling differently, if the whole point is to change people's perception about wrestling and do this whole wrestling thing different from how WWE would do it differently from WWE and confront it head on and do it in a way that's going to make you money. That's how I feel about it.
Can argue with that one. I mean, he's been known to be the man that breaks the fourth wall. If you didn't now, like you lost a lot of your stock if you chose not to.
Right. Right. But we want to hear what y'all feel about CM Punk's imminent return to AEW if it is to happen. Do you guys think he's going to come back? Drop it in the comments. Let us know. But speaking of CM Punk, former WWE superstar and the wife of CM Punk, AJ Mendez was showing support for the Writers Guild strike. We saw some photos online on Twitter. Just wanted to know, how do you feel about seeing her kind of support this cause and just kind of her seeing AJ out in the open, seeing AJ outside? You know what I'm saying?
I don't know why, but it kind of annoys me because it's just she has like a bunch of fans and they're always cooing to her and begging for her to make an appearance, come back to wrestling, work backstage. If she doesn't want to put her body on the line, do something. And it's just like she comes outside for the most randomest fucking thing. Like, what are you doing here at this strike? Like, AJ Lee is so unbothered. Like, no, I'm not even like a huge AJ Lee fan because like I kind of like paused watching wrestling from that era, but I understand why her fans are so attached to her. But I just feel so sorry for all the AJ Lee fans because she don't give a fuck about y'all. She just be doing whatever the fuck.
Right.
She wrote comic books. She dyed her hair. She'll show herself making some treats. Like she just does like whatever. Besides answer your calls.
Right. Literally that.
She like friend zones all of you guys. So I don't really have a comment on this. I just know that she just don't give a fuck. And I need all y'all on Twitter who keep begging for her to come back, and revive the era that she did for us. I just need y'all to put it to rest. I'm so over it. Because she don't care.
She don't give a damn.
She doesn't. Do you have any comments on her partaking in this writer's strike?
So here's
she makes me laugh, yo. She just don't give a fuck.
It's hilarious because she's really outside living her best life.
Away from y'all.
More away from y'all, like right, heavy on that. But here's what I'm gonna say. If it's so good to see AJ Mendez outside. Because I think the last thing that I heard from her or of her was that she was writing for WOW, Women of Wrestling, which is the promotion that Tessa Blanchard was in for like a cup of coffee and then whatever happened.
So was Nikita, actually. Fun fact. Go ahead.
I remember Nikita. Do you mean what was it?
Faithy J.
Yeah. Faithy J. All right. Yeah. So, she was, apparently she had a role in that. Hold on. Or you can.
She did. And didn't WoW have a lot of controversy too? Like, I don't know too much about WoW, but I know that like the person who obviously led it was a woman, but there was like some controversy behind her. So a lot of people were not behind the fact that AJ was a writer or from some prominent role for this company. And is that company doing anything? Does that company work year round? I don't hear nothing about WoW ever.
They do seasons. So they do a season of WoW and then they move on, and they do a season of WoW and then they move on. But here's what I was gonna say: it feels good to see AJ outside because the last time I kind of heard or saw her was about WoW. So just the fact that she's out doing well, good to see that and supporting a cause. I'll put you on game as far as this writer strike is concerned, and I'll summarize it briefly. So, for those of you who are unaware, the writer strike is essentially what has happened is that WGA, the Writers Guild of America, and the Alliance of Motion Pictures and Television Producers, um, they have not come to an agreement as far as compensation for the writers of a lot of Hollywood television and movies. And so what happened is that a lot of writers just kind of walked out on shows. There's about, I think, 11,500 of them. And essentially the reason why there is a strike is because there is an a urge and a push to kind of revisit certain contracts and agreements pertaining to film. The way that it was set up, back in the early 2000s, you would write for a show, you would continue to get paid off of the show when it re-airs. So anytime a show re-airs, say if you wrote for 911, right?
Mhm.
You wrote for an episode of 911, you
Yeah.
wrote that episode, every time it re-airs, you get a check,
Ooh.
right? Now, because all of the shows have gone to streaming, but yet the agreement hasn't been updated, a lot of people, a lot of writers aren't getting the same compensation that they were
Oh, that
getting. They would
sucks.
just they would just get like one lump sum, and then that's it. They don't see any money off of the show because it goes to streaming, and when it goes to streaming, they don't have an agreement for that. So now, because they weren't able to come to an agreement, all the writers just kind of walked off the show. And it sucks because it's not like companies are losing money. Companies are making record profits off of this content and off of these shows. But it's just that there has not been an agreement that has been agreed upon by multiple parties in the studios. And now all these writers are kind of walking out. So
Mm.
that's what this whole strike is about. So to
Mm.
see AJ kind of support that cause, I think it's really, really cool and really, really ethical of her. Yeah, that's all that I had to say about it. That's really all I had to say.
That's actually
But
pretty cool. All right. All right.
right on. Corporate Mo supports
Yeah,
AJ,
I
striking
endorse.
AJ. Yeah. But we're gonna move on from that because that was not the only wrestling related news pertaining to media and upfronts. Because at the recent Disney upfronts, it was announced that Pat McAfee will be leaving his $120 million deal
Where the
to
fuck y'all have
join
this money?
ESPN, where he will be taking his shows and his properties. Apparently, his show will be staying on YouTube and airing on that, but he is bringing his team over, his shows over. Obviously, because he's leaving one media company and joining another as ESPN, do you think that this is the last that we've seen of Pat McAfee in WWE?
I
Yes
hope
or no?
not, because there's like very few things that got me hanging on to WWE, and Pat's one of them. Like he's just good at everything, and he's just like a good time. Like if you want him to wrestle, he'll wrestle, and it doesn't. It could be a serious match if you wanted him to, but he could also just
Right,
have like a fun, good match. Just have a fun, good match. He's also very entertaining on commentary. I love the way he works with the wrestlers and their dynamic. Like he has little quips that
right,
he has going on with them. I'm not saying it's going to be a gigantic loss, but it would make me upset because I feel like, since he's been in commentary and I enjoyed him being in the commentary role, there's been like a really hard time filling the void of Morrow for me at least. Not sure how you feel, but
right,
Morrow leaving commentary in NXT, mind you, besides like Lawler and stuff like that, the next one of that generation for me at least that made me actually pay attention to commentators and care about them on a more personal level. Literally, there was Morrow, and
yeah,
then Pat actually did it, and I didn't believe that he'd be good at what he did, but he was phenomenal. So I'm gonna be a little bit upset just because like he was so fitting, and it's gonna feel like somebody's lacking. Like I didn't really realize how important commentary was. You know what I'm saying? I
yeah,
did not realize it until like I actually sat back and like listened to these matches without these familiar voices.
yeah.
So I'm gonna be a little bit sad just because I like his role. But I mean, I support anyone doing whatever they want to do that makes them happy, and taking a different career direction. So good on Pat if he does actually, because right now this is technically alleged. Correct? How do
Yeah.
you feel about it?
Well, actually, it's not even. I think they announced it at the upfronts, so it's like official. He's
It
official.
is
Well, he's not
official.
official. He's not officially leaving WWE, but it's official that he's moving to ESPN. As far as how I feel about it, I think it's a great move for Pat. It's a great move for sports media because Pat McAfee, outside of the context of wrestling, has had
Yeah.
a great podcast, great team.
Yeah.
He's always featured WWE on his platforms, and it's just kind of good to see someone like him get these opportunities because he deserves it.
Yeah.
Between WWE, um, him joining College Game Day, him having his own, podcast and platform, to now joining ESPN, like that man is a dog. He got that dog in him, and he's a hustler. And
Oh
so it's
yeah.
kind of good, and it's kind of good to see him like get after it. So shout outs to Pat, man. He's getting it.
You
I'm
think
trying
he
to get
left
his
too soon
money.
though?
Left WWE.
Like I feel like he's got here in my head.
I do agree. I do think that he just got there, but
Like did
I
he just
also
challenge Adam Cole?
literally. But you know what? Think about it like this. That was 2020. It's 2023. Isn't it crazy how time flies? Because that feels like it
that's
wasn't that long ago,
that's for
but
the
it
COVID.
was. Right. It was the vid,
Yeah.
but
The vid.
like
That's what we call it now. First it
yeah, it's
was
the
the
vid.
Rona, now it's the vid.
It's the vid. It's the vid. But like I think obviously I'm not opposed to him coming back, and I feel like he would be open to a comeback. But sometimes it's not about doing stuff full time. It's just like I'm gonna do it if it makes sense and if I can, if it makes me money, and if it's not doing that right now, then I'm just gonna go over here. Or maybe I just want to try something else. And I feel like Pat is an example of that, of just kind of dipping your toes into whatever you want. So you know,
Okay. I
but
respect
we
that.
want to hear y'all thoughts about Pat. Do you think he's coming back to WWE ever? Let us know in the comments below. But we're moving on.
Yeah.
So, um, Matt Hardy. We're gonna talk about that. I feel like you should take the lead
Lita's
on
karma,
Matt Hardy,
bitch. That's all I gotta say.
because this woman does not like Matt Hardy at all.
It's almost 20 years. Almost 20 years. But Lita got her lick back last week when a random hacker. Shout out to the hacker, by the way, whoever you are. I would love to just formally shake your hand, okay? Corporate Mo would love to shake your hand, okay?
A firm
A
handshake.
firm handshake. Okay, I was not responsible. I had some people reach out to me and wonder if I was behind this. It was not me. This wonderful hacker decided to take it upon themselves and harass Matt Hardy and Rebby for a good, 3 to 4 hours. And these are some classic tweets, very controversial, may I add. But Jesus Christ. Before I choose my own favorite ones, do you have a favorite tweet, Jordan, by any chance?
Man, so let me thanks for sending this. My bad. I have to look it up because there were a
Oh, I have a few. I got a few. Hold on. Hold on. My favorite one is the
I'm
classic. My favorite one's the classic. The shit, if I was Edge, I would have fucked Lita too.
that was OD.
Cause not for nothing. Not for nothing, bruh. It was
I have to find.
you know what made this ironic? You know what made this ironic? There was a whole discourse going around about was he in the wrong on what he was he in the wrong for what he did. For what he did to Edge and Lita. And it's just so ironic that right after this person just took it upon themselves to hack him and to rub it in his face.
Here's what I think we could tackle that. He said, "Nah, this one was jokes." Vince McMahon, send me my money back, or I'll release the video of me. Oh nah, yeah, I can't say this, but he said, "Send me my money back, or I'll release the video of me blanking your wife." And no, I don't give a blank if she's a government official. That's OD. Here's what I will say though. That's OD. I don't condone. But here's what I will say though.
I'm kidding. Not that, but the hacking. Go ahead.
The whole Matt Lita Edge thing. I'm not. I don't even want to say that it's complicated because it's not a complicated
It's
thing.
not.
Because I feel like what happens is this, right? I feel like two things can be true at the same time, right? I feel like Lita caught a lot of hate for doing things that a lot of male wrestlers did that they did not receive the same amount of hate for, as far as being, as far as cheating, as far as being unfaithful. Apparently, a bunch of other wrestlers were guilty of doing the same things, and I feel like the reason why Lita got a certain amount of hate was because, especially at that time, like society and culture at large was very big on slut shaming and people that weren't, they were very, very condescending on people who maybe were sex positive and blase, 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 blase. And I just feel like, Jesus, I just feel like she just kind of received. Oh, let me respond to my girlfriend. Everybody calling me while I'm recording. But I feel like she's received a lot of hate and it was rooted in a lot of misogyny. So I do want to start off with that. I think that she received a lot of unsolicited hate and a lot of vitriol and disdain for something for that male wrestlers did, and the energy was not kept across the board. So I think that that's number
No.
one. That's one thing that is true. However, um, I feel like when you are, and I said this in the chat, when you cause a form of emotional trauma to someone, it is now outside of your jurisdiction of one, how the person that you harmed handles their trauma,
And you handle like a
two,
bitch.
how they express that trauma,
And you did like a
and
bitch.
three, what is now the perception that is now formed of you as a result of that. Like, we cannot sit here. I said it. I'm not Matt Hardy. If I was in that position, I don't know what I would have done, but off the top of my head, I probably wouldn't have blasted it and made it a big thing. But we can't sit up here and act like Matt Hardy was so criminally wrong. When we sit up here, we praise Beyonce for Lemonade. We sit up here and praise SZA for all of the, like, we sit up here and praise all of these musicians and artists who were able to take their trauma and made it work for them in their line of work. And I think that that's what Matt Hardy did for himself. Now, I do think that the circumstances were unfortunate, and Lita received a lot of hate that I feel like was rooted in misogyny. However, at the same time, it's like, if we're gonna sit up here and praise storytellers for taking their trauma and making it work for them in the context of their art, I'm not gonna sit up here and do the same for Matt Hardy. I just don't think that that's unfair. I don't think that that's fair. And on top of that, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if you would catch me outside messing with my best friend's partner. I don't know. I feel like Edge didn't receive. Well, Edge was a heel, but it's just the whole situation is unfortunate. But I just feel like, more so than anything, I feel like Lita received way too much hate for that. I feel like that was just, and it was rooted in something deeper than the incident itself. It was just rooted in misogyny more than anything. But I want you to get your piece off because I know you.
You're not entirely wrong. It's just that, like, my thing is that literally, like, the face of the company, John Cena, can sit there and go cheat on his wife. And, like, everyone's just like, oh, okay, well, he's John Cena. I mean, who in the roster wouldn't want to smash him or whatnot? Like, why would he not want to? He's the top guy, blah, blah, blah. But, like, I just feel like she did it, and then everyone just hated on her for years. Not to this day, because, now it's a different era and stuff like that. But it's just, like, the way he handled it. Like, look, I get it. I'd be very upset, too, if my man's sat here while I was injured and messed with my girl. Now they claim it was allegedly emotional cheating. I don't even believe that shit, but they claimed it was emotional cheating. The both of them on their interviews. Okay, but the way he handled it was just so unprofessional, and the fact that he was just mad as hell that it worked in their favor. I mean, that to me is sort of your karma, because no one's mad at you for being upset. You have every right to be upset. But I just feel like, as a grown ass man, there's many other ways you could have went about this, and it's just like, knowing the boss that you have, what did you expect to happen? out of this. Like, seriously, like, do you not know who you work for? Why would you not expect this to somehow work in their favor? And on top of that, like, if he wants to be artistic, he could have been artistic in peace with his black and white videos and his Lita cutout and the bowl cereal he had in the video. He really could have done all that and not posted that on YouTube. He could have just kept that to himself. He could have kept that to himself with everything that he wrote up on the blogs and stuff like that. But he made it like his mission to like take her down and take him down. But it wasn't so much him; it was taking her down when he should have got most of the backlash. Like, yeah, that was your girl, and your girl should have known better. But it's like, why is your homeboy, why is your homeboy so comfortable with sliding with your girl? You know what I'm saying? But she went after her, just her. Like, that was my biggest part. And then you're mad, like I said, that their careers both popped the fuck off, and then you kind of just faded back into obscurity. Still being mid Hardy to this day, even with the whole gimmick change or whatnot. I could go into a whole Matt Hardy slander all for all day, but the way he handled it to me was like a bitch ass nigga. You really could have handled this on the side. I'm sure every other wife that got cheated on handled it on the side. I'm pretty sure every other couple that was together in WWE, some of them you didn't even know that they were together in WWE. You have to Google that and just like find out. Like, I just found out a couple weeks ago that Cody Rhodes pulled Layla. And I would never have known because they kept it private.
OD.
You get what I'm saying?
OD.
Cody's roster is something. But that's a whole different podcast. All I'm saying is that you got to know what professionalism is. And Matt, to me, is not really professional. He just gives me beta male vibes, which I said previous times before. That being said, I want to get back to these tweets because the biggest tweet to me that stuck out like a sore thumb, and I'm still gasping as I'm looking at it. Let me pull it up. Let me scroll real quick. Because this was rich. This motherfucker said, and I quote, maybe Chris Benoit wasn't that bad. Bitches be hashtag annoying. Hashtag LMFAO.
That was OD. That was so OD.
I feel so bad for laughing.
That's OD.
It's fucked up, but it's just like, I'm so sorry. Please, R.I.P. Nancy, forgive me, the little boy whose name I don't know. I don't mean to laugh at it, but this man was ruthless. But my other favorite one was when he tried saying, sorry, everyone, I got hacked, but I have since regained access. Sorry for all the vulgar tweets/messages in the past few hours. I will be removing them and restoring my account back to normal. But then he goes, psych, bitch, it's still me. You ain't getting this shit back, gang. And then he told him,
you ain't getting this back, gang is hilarious. Also, fun fact, I just found out something. My bad. I don't mean to interrupt.
Go ahead.
It says that Bryan Danielson will be helping out with creative for AEW Collision.
Is he really?
Yes, he is.
Oh, thank God. There's hope.
But keep going.
There's hope for that company. Thank God. That was my biggest concern. But yes, he called himself a hashtag God and then told him, haha, Matt Hardy, get deleted, ho. And then later on had told this man he's trying to change his password. You're not smarter than me, dummy. You're not getting your shit back. And he bullied Matt for like 3-4 hours and then started harassing Rebby Hardy. To the point that she blocked him. She blocked her own husband's main account. This hacker, I have seen many hackers, bro. This was entertaining. He even has said in another tweet that we bought your account back from the dead. You should let us keep it at this point. To be honest, he got a follow out of me. He got a follow out of me. It was
just off of that.
Listen, this was Lita's karma is all I have to say. Lita's karma. This is the Lord's work.
But I want to know how. Before we get into the next topic, speaking of Matt, he actually had he was talking about AEW Collision as a member of AEW, obviously. Mm-hmm. And he was saying that the brand split, that there should be a brand split, and that it will be good for healthy competition amongst AEW superstars. Do you believe that can be true? Yes. Do you believe that a brand split in AEW for one roster for Collision, one roster for Dynamite would be good for AEW?
Yeah, because it's going to feel like two different programs. A, B, they have a pretty bloated roster that doesn't get fully used. Mm-hmm. C, we could have different flows for both shows. And I mean, I'd be interested to see how they're going to conduct their draft, if they ever have or decide to do a draft or a tournament or whatever the case may be, to feature faces on the other show. Like, it just
Yeah.
leaves like so much more room for just like fun,
Hmm.
and different people to just again like want to pay attention to. So I like that. I'm interested in also seeing how again they're going to divide the belts on either show, which belts go here, which belts go here.
Hmm.
I just feel like again like it's just a lot more fun when you split the roster up as opposed to putting everything together and then putting on rotation with storylines are going to get screen time. What do you
I
think?
agree. I agree. And I think that I feel like people hear brand split and they automatically think of WWE. And that's rightfully so, right? But I think that there was a time in WWE where the brand split actually worked, right? When WCW kind of purchased, not kind of, they purchased WCW, ECW. There was no more real competition left.
Yeah.
And Vince McMahon had the idea of having a distinct roster for Raw and a distinct roster for SmackDown. That brand split, we saw so many good things come out from each roster. We saw the rise of Triple H. We
Mm-hmm.
saw the creation of Evolution, which created Randy Orton, Batista,
Evolution
kind
is
of
a
brought Ric Flair into the
mystery.
modern era of wrestling. We saw obviously Chris Benoit. We saw the return of Shawn Michaels. And then on the other side, we saw so much coming from SmackDown. We saw the SmackDown Six, where we had Kurt Angle, we had Edge, we had Eddie Guerrero, we had Brock Lesnar, and a couple of Rey Mysterio. And we were able to see Eddie Guerrero be a WWE champion. We saw Edge kind of get his start as a, not a start, but like get prominently pushed and featured as a singles wrestler, as a singles competitor. We got to see Kurt Angle and Benoit. You know,
The Kurt
I
before
don't
the
like
perk.
him, but we got to see Kurt in a series of amazing matches. Rey Mysterio in a series of amazing matches. We saw kind of Big Show being established as a dominant heel on SmackDown. We saw the creative prowess of Paul Heyman. So if that were to just be reduced to having one roster for both shows, we would be using one show as collateral for the other show, and we wouldn't be giving too many opportunities to other people. So I feel like the brand split is going to create a lot of opportunities for a lot of guys who are underutilized.
Yeah.
And AEW, there's a bunch. One of those guys is Scorpio Sky. I feel like Scorpio
I
Sky
haven't heard that name in
is
a minute. All right.
exactly the last time we were talking about Scorpio Sky, he was a part of, I think it was Men of the Year with All Ego Ethan Page. And he was the TNT champion, but that guy is a world heavyweight champion caliber guy. Miro is another one. Thunder Rosa is another one. There's so many different talents across the AEW roster who um who have the potential to be stars, and they just need that opportunity. So I'm looking forward to that, and I think that Matt Hardy is right in that sense. But I just had to say the Matt Hardy name because I want to see a reaction. But I think Matt Hardy was right in
It's
that
not my
context.
co-host. I don't know him.
Wow. Just like how I
Slap
don't
my
know
chair to the
you.
mic. Go ahead.
I agree with Matt, but we want to hear your opinions on the Matt Hardy hack tweets
He
as
agrees with
well.
Matt.
I agree with
Not a
Matt.
me, a we
Um,
thing. Who's we?
wow. I thought we were a team, friend. Apparently not. But um I want to know what you guys feel about these hack tweets, as well as
Well, what's your favorite
um
one?
it was the one that I said about the
I'm
government
asking
official.
the
What was it?
crowd, not you. You
Oh
mid
yeah.
hardy. Sorry, you mid hardy supporter. Thank you.
I'm a Miditude follower. Is what I
Yes, you're a
am.
mid dude.
I'm a Miditude follower. All right, but we're gonna move on. So apparently, WWE hosted another all hands meeting, and it was apparently actually really good. It was encouraging employees. They were saying they were, they didn't obviously disclose details, but there was no signs of any impending cuts. Do you think that there are no releases that are gonna be happening in the near future? Do you think WWE is heading in the right direction with its work environment? I just wanted to know what your opinion was on stuff like this.
Maybe not right now. They're getting cut, but didn't we just state like months ago that they're going into many different continents and countries to go seek out talent and stuff like that? Eventually, that comes with a
Hmm.
budget cut. I don't know how soon they're gonna get these people into the PC Center and then promote the people that we have in NXT, but a budget cut gonna happen eventually. But I don't see it happening soon.
Hmm.
Could some people afford to get cut? Yeah, because the show has been kind of slow. This would be actually the only time where I actually would not mind a budget cut. Like the show is painfully slow, people. But
Right.
I could think otherwise. Do I see one? No. But how do you feel about them having an all hands meeting?
So, I mean, I think it's necessary. I feel like all hands meetings like this are good to kind of realign, reassess, reset, and also kind of get everybody on the same page. I think it shows transparency from the leadership down. And I think that that is really good for employees and company morale. Um, I think that stuff like this is kind of reassuring and positive because, when you bring in a guy like Bad Bunny, when you bring in guys like Logan Paul, and, mergers are happening and business is happening, it's very, very easy to think, well, maybe this is going to cost a lot of money. Maybe I'm getting let go of. And I think it's good to kind of reassure people that their position in that place is set. So I
I
think
think
that it was, I think that it's a good sign. I feel like
so. You trust this
things like
company?
yeah, right. You said do I trust it?
Yeah. Do you trust this company? That's to
Um
me the oddest thing.
to be honest, I don't know. I don't know because of I feel like we're still in kind of that period where we're kind of in the tension of what WWE wants to be and what WWE was. Because obviously I feel like Nick and Triple H have a certain vision for the next 25 years and
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Vince is trying to retain control, and his control means the implementation of certain things and methods and means. I feel like I don't know if I can trust them or not, just based off of the fact that there is kind of like a current tug or a push and pull because of it's currently kind of caught between two people who have two different visions for the company, in addition to merging with another company. So
Mm.
that's how I feel. That is how I feel. But we want to know how y'all feel. Is WWE heading in the right direction with these all hands meetings? And we're going to get into the last topic of the show. So, the next WWE NXT Premium Live event um, is, I think, May 28th, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. I don't know if it's May 28th or not. But on the heels of that, it is very, very, very clear that WWE NXT has their next premium live event scheduled. While we don't know the name yet, we do know that it's in summer, and we know that it is on August 12th. So I wanted to know, are you excited for the next NXT premium live event in the summer?
Yeah, I suppose so. I'm not gonna front. I haven't been keeping up with NXT too much, but I enjoy their pay per views. I don't think they ever really have weak pay per views when it comes to NXT. So,
Hmm.
I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm pretty excited. And when's the last time you actually tuned into it? We have to be brutally honest.
That makes sense. When was the last time I tuned in?
Yeah, for NXT, because like,
So,
go ahead.
I watched a little bit. Well, since I'm unemployed, I have not all the time in the world. So I watched a little bit on Tuesday.
Hmm.
And they're cooking. They are cooking
Anything
right now.
better that we're missing out on that's going
So
on?
so right now we have obviously Braun Breaker and Mello. That feud is still kind of happening, but this time Braun Breaker is a heel, Mello is a face. We have Wesley and Tyler Bate. They're going at it for the North American Championship, and that I'm very much looking forward to.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, there's a good amount of feuds that are cooking up in NXT.
Anything good with the women
Um,
going on?
so they are doing a tournament because I think since Indy Hartwell was the previous NXT Women's Champion and she was called up to the main roster, she vacated the title. Now they're doing a tournament right now, and I think the winner is going to be crowned at the May 28th NXT Premium Live event. I'm going to actually check to see who are the final participants because I know Roxanne Perez is one of them. I know Tiffany Stratton is another one of them. Um,
I haven't heard a
let's
lot
see.
about Miss
All right.
Stratton.
So the last four participants are Lyra Val. I don't. I'm not even going to pronounce her name. Cora Jade, Roxanne Perez, and Tiffany Stratton. Um, in addition to that, it also seems as if Gigi Dolan as well as JC are still kind of going at it in their feud. But I think Gigi interfered in the match. I think it was either JC interfered in the match or Gigi interfered in the match, but they're still going at it. And so that's another thing that's been cooking up. So there's been a good amount of stuff that's been cooking up
Where's
with
my girl
NXT.
Soul Roca? What's Kiana
She's
James
injured.
doing? Oh, she's
She's
injured.
injured. She's injured.
Oh, that sucks.
And that's been like a whole thing because apparently there's been a coach down at the performance center who hasn't been training certain women accordingly, and there's been a lot of injuries, which is the reason why we are not getting, a lot of superstars that we normally get. But we have those guys. Also, Noam Dar, who is from NXT UK, is going to be bringing his, defending his NXT UK Heritage Cup, which is kind of like NXT UK's Intercontinental Championship. But the way that it's done is that they do the British round. So they do, I think, 10 rounds of like 3 minutes, 10 rounds maximum of 3 minutes apiece. And like there's a winner of each round, and whoever wins the most rounds wins the Heritage Cup.
That's
so
cool.
They're doing a bunch of cool things, and I think NXT is cooking. I'm very, very eager and excited to see where they go. But yeah, that's kind of what's going on with NXT.
Okay, so I was looking at my faves. So I was looking at Kiana James. I was looking for Sol Roca. I'm surprised you didn't say nothing about Nikita. Is she also out of action?
She's injured as well.
God damn. Oh, okay. That's
There's
interesting.
A lot of them that's injured, bro.
No, but all that sounded much more interesting than whatever the fuck I observed on Raw on Monday. I think I tapped out by like 10 o'clock watching. But all right, cool. I'm very interested because, like I said, even though I don't keep up with NXT, I usually like to keep up with the pay-per-views, and they usually knock it out the park for me personally every single time. So yeah, I'm interested to see how they're going to attack the summer, because if Punk's coming out and they have a show, I'm assuming that, right now it's like their slow period, but they're going to definitely have all their cannons loaded by the summer.
Absolutely.
But yeah.
Absolutely. But we want to know what y'all feel about the NXT Premium Live event for the summer. Let us know in the comments below if y'all are excited about it. But we have just finished our 7th episode of the season. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and tapping in. Thank you for joining Unemployed Jordan and Corporate Mo. And hopefully we see you guys next week. Wow.